That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. It's another Thursday night, and that means that, let me check my calendars. Dragon, odds are, if I were a betting man on Thursday night, it would probably mean like maybe 6 times out of 10 that Disney's got some sort of big release going on that week. I don't know. We like this year is stacked, Dragon. This year is stacked with big Disney movies. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon. I believe this one is the first of 2019. This is the first big like Disney tentpole release of the year. Am I not? Am I wrong about that?
Looks like it.
All right, so yeah, we're at it, folks. We're kind of this is the gun that's kicking off the 2019 Disney Marathon here because we've got stuff like The Lion King, Toy Story 4, Endgame, of course, Spider-Man: Far From Home, Star Wars Episode 9, Dumbo, Aladdin. Yes, Aladdin's in there too. Any others, Dragon? Frozen 2.
Yeah,
Frozen
Frozen 2, and you mentioned Lion King.
Yeah. I mean,
Not
it's
guarantee
like,
though. At least not guarantee we're gonna go all out for it, but it comes out.
Oh, hey there! So we're ready to talk about the Pepper Ann reboot. That is my one Pepper Ann joke for
Pepper Ann.
Forgive me for any sound stuff. I'm still getting headphones in.
All right, just to clarify, Dragon, Pepper Ann, we kind of have this hypothetical in the
it's a DuckTales podcast thing.
Yeah, in the Disney Afternoon cinematic universe that DuckTales may or may not be setting up, Pepper Ann is our Captain Marvel. Like, she's going to swoop in at the last minute and save the day when all is
lost. After Von Drake sent her a distress signal. Now, of course, this doesn't go with what's actually happening on DuckTales, but screw it. It's fun.
Well, DuckTales is setting up some sort of cinematic universe of some kind. Anyway.
Fair enough. Gummy Glenn forever.
Okay, so we're going to go round robin here. Monkey, I'll let you go last so you can get your sound issues worked out. And
I got the headphones in.
All right, well, still,
yeah.
I'm gonna start with Dragon. I'm gonna throw it over to Dragon first. Dragon, we're just gonna give a thesis statement, of course, as we always do. What were your expectations going in, and what did you think coming out?
Real quick, just wanted to highlight, we have Donovan Martin joining us in the comments, and he brings up Maleficent 2 this year. I don't know if that's a joke, Tiki. Is that really happening this year?
It's happening.
Really? It's happening? Is it this year? I thought it was 2020.
Well, I wonder. It could have been pushed back, I guess, but sure. You get on that, all right?
That's the Mistress of Evil. It is 2019. It's in October.
Oh, dear God. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Up against the Addams Family reboot?
I guess.
Topic, but still.
Well, yeah, that comes out this year, so I guess that's quite possible, yeah.
It is!
Oh, man. Disney, what are you doing? Anyways, Captain Marvel. So, Dragon, nice of you to join us, Donovan. Yeah, we've got a lot of Disney movies that we're going to be doing this for this year. Maybe not necessarily every single one. Dragon, I know you don't have a big interest in The Lion King, but rest assured, Monkey, are you going to see The Lion King opening night?
You're assuming I'm going to see it in theaters.
Yes, I am.
I'm not.
Ah, okay. Well, gosh darn it, I might just have to do that one alone, but that's a big enough Disney event unto itself that I feel obligated to as someone who runs a Disney podcast. We need to have some coverage of that movie, darn it. Anyways.
You know me.
Right. So,
Captain Marvel, go.
Okay, Captain Marvel. Well, going into it, of course, we're probably going to recap some of this when we do the full-on spoiler cast. Of course, folks, a reminder, we are doing non-spoilers here, so we won't give away all the juicy tidbits. However, I'll tell you, so going into this movie, of course, there's been a lot. I think this movie's been terribly advertised. There's been a lot of unfortunately just kind of ill-communicated press. I don't know. It's just been again. Never have I gone to a Marvel movie that's trying to talk me out of seeing it so much. And of course, it never would that happen. I wouldn't see this Marvel movie. But it's just like it's like wow, I've never had this before. And I just kind of went into that. I think I kind of used when we did movie memoirs. I think I used this analogy. Just you go into Captain Marvel. go into that kind of that Charlie Brown Christmas mode. You know what? I'm not going to let this commercial dog ruin my Christmas sort of thing. I'm not going to let all these dispersions, all the sky is falling. You know, what's the MCU going to do in Phase 4 if Captain Marvel's the poster child stuff? Like before people have even seen the movie, I'm not going to let all this.
Captain Marvel.
Right. I'm not going to let any of this cloud my mindset going into this. I'm going to give it a fair shot. I'm going to go into this movie just going to see where the chips fall. You know. So I went there, got my tickets, got my buddies. We all went to see it, and I guess coming out of it, I tell you, I had a good time with it. I guess broadly though, you know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, and I guess the best way of phrasing is that it was enjoyable. Nothing really wrong with it. However, I've never really had moments where I've groaned in a Marvel movie, and I had those with this movie. I have like moments where I just kind of groaned, like rolled my eyes, like, oh, come on. Where it's like, really? And I've never had that. Personally, I've never had that before. At least not in the theater. Like, you know, usually on a rewatch or something, you kind of pick up on something like, yeah, you know, like some jokes in Spider-Man Homecoming, like, yeah, do we really need those? But like, again, on the whole, it's like you go into Captain Marvel. I'm having a good time. I think Brie Larson did a good job. I really do. And of course, she was kind of the linchpin of like the movie. You know, it kind of lives or dies by your main character. Of course, a lot of conversationally, is Brie Larson going to tank this thing, or is the MCU Phase 4 going to be in trouble? And I got to tell you, I think she did a pretty good job. So I'm coming out of the movie. I'm satisfied. Just just kind of wish a few things were punched up a little bit more. So I had a good time with it.
All right, I'm going to throw it over to Monkey next. Monkey, what were your expectations going in and then thoughts coming out?
Well, you know me, I avoid advertising, but yeah, I was looking forward to this one. You know, some of it is, you know, to see like after, you know, the big war from Last Infinity. So, you know, okay, let's see how this fits in, and of course, you know, to be honest, you know what it represents in say the industry and representation, which awesome. So yeah, I was going in, you know, hoping for a nice time. So yeah, I'd say I did like I feel. I mean, yeah, I don't think I'd put this as high as it could be, but then again, you know me, I'm only sort of semi into the MCU, like say more the Guardians Ant-Man angle of it. And yeah, I feel like with this one, like it could have started a little more interestingly. Like, I mean, granted, I may have been distracted by popcorn, which I've realized over the last decade is a bit of a distraction at the movies. Oh, curse you concession stands and your popcorn and the smell that tantalizes us. But yeah, no, and then also you got Jude Law mumbling. like in my head, I was literally referring to that character as British mumbler. But yes, like as things started to get revealed, you know, over the course of the movie, like that's the stuff that when it was certainly grabbing me more. So yeah. Then I won't say really anything about either of the post-credit scenes, but there's definitely some stuff I want to confirm with you guys when we're done here, just so I'm back in the swing of the events of the MCU.
Okay.
But yeah, Captain Marvel, nice one.
All right, so I was probably the most negative going into this out of the three of us because I really didn't think the trailers grabbed me, and on top of that, I frankly thought that some of the cast, Monkey, I apologize if this gets a tad bit controversial. Some of the cast, you know, they had good intentions, but I feel like they went a little too far into like, you know, the political angle with this. When at the end of the day,
you mean in like the publicity for the movie or marketing, whatever?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
That's pretty much what I'm talking about too. The whole like the marketing of it all, yeah.
Like, for example, how Brie Larson specifically didn't want to get interviewed by male critics. And at the end of the day, I feel like that kind of creates a mentality where it's like, yeah, it's it's cool that it's the first MCU movie led by a female. That's awesome. That's a great stepping stone. And hopefully it'll lead to more MCU. Like I want a She-Hulk movie. Darn it, I think Dragon agrees with me.
God, yes, I would love either a She-Hulk movie,
I'm so
please.
sorry. I'm just picturing that bit of Chris Griffin being like, "I love you, She-Hulk."
Yeah. But
Apologies.
my point is I just want a good movie.
Mhm.
Like I honestly think that the cast and the publicity around this movie kind of mucked it up politically speaking, and I don't want to get into any details or debates about it. I just I don't know. Like I think they had good intentions. I just think that they maybe put too much emphasis on the wrong things when it should have just been all around just about like, hey, we're introducing an awesome new character and it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah, Donovan agrees with you too that for sure they went to quote him for sure they went a little too far. And the whole like kind of the oversell of the marketing with the first female
Yeah, thank you,
superhero and
Donovan, because I really do worry about talking about stuff like this on the channel, but
Mhm.
I don't know. And like I said, it's like I don't criticize the people who are, like the 13-year-old girls in the audience who are stoked to see representations of themselves on screen. Like that's awesome. I'm totally all for that.
Yeah.
100%. I just think that the whole message of like, oh, boys can't interview me because I don't know.
it's a little
That
counterproductive.
I'm not sure if that's exactly what she was saying, but and again, I've only heard like so much of this, like probably not as much as you've heard. So there's only so much I can offer on that as well. But
of course.
I mean, I
But
probably
that's
get
not
where
the
you're
only
coming
thing.
from.
It's just like it's not one thing in particular. It's just kind of like the general attitude
Uh-huh.
publicity tour has just kind of been off for me.
It's been combative to say the least. There's been a little bit of
Yeah,
combativeness with
yeah.
just generally anyone the film's kind of marketing to. It's just anyway. Also, real quick, I just wanted to kind of highlight this. You get this in there real quick. Don Martin said that he saw it, thought it was decent at best. Wasn't the worst nor the best. I just want to get kind of like another kind of perspective of the movie there as well.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
Um, I honestly, and this might be an opinion that I have a feeling both of you guys are going to disagree with.
All right.
It might be the low expectations thing.
All
And
right.
I'm not saying this is a great movie by any stretch. I'm certainly not saying it's a top 10 MCU movie. But I can honestly say I think I appreciate this movie more than Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Well,
How do you mean?
I get where you're coming from.
How do you mean exactly?
I mean, like I can see how it's more problematic than Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I like that this movie is ambitious. I like that this movie has a lot of puzzle pieces connecting different things to the MCU. I think it's a good kind of penultimate film leading up into Endgame without revealing why. I don't know. I feel like this movie does have certain good things to offer that like I walked away feeling more satisfied with it than I thought I would. Like I was yeah, that wasn't a great movie, but you know what? It's for a movie that had that kind of misled of a marketing campaign behind it. At the end of the day, it delivered what I wanted, which was a good movie. It was a good movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm sorry, guys. I walked away from that one like that. To me, might be outside of something like the Incredible Hulk or Thor: The Dark World. That might be one of the most forgettable movies in the MCU. And I don't think I'm going to forget Captain Marvel just because I really do think, for better or for worse, even the flaws kind of make it more quirky. And y'all know how much I like it is kind of like the least perfect MCU movie ever, but I kind of have like an appreciation for it in that way. And like I said, I'm not saying it's like it to me it's like slightly above average, right? Like if I rank it, I'd probably rank it maybe, off the top of my head, maybe 15th out of 21 or 16 out of 21. There's definitely a few films in the MCU I'd rank below it.
Honestly, the comparison I'd go for is kind of in the Doctor Strange vein, where it's kind of a movie kind of outside of.
Except this one has a likable protagonist.
Right.
Ding! My apologies, Mr. Cumberbatch. Or writers of Doctor Strange, whatever.
Right.
I won't deny, I feel like, and this is more on the writing than Brie Larson or anyone, I feel like maybe there could have been a little more of a character to Veer's. I'll go with that. Veer's, like, maybe. And it's not a case where it's like I'm getting nothing from this character and I'm uninterested. Like, I'm still interested, but I don't know. Somehow the other characters, some of the others may have shined a little more for me personally. And again, well, this is only a first time. We'll see how it is on rewatch or whatever. But
Yeah, bear in mind
right.
you're gonna need some time to noodle on it for a while, like I do with many movies. But however, I
Yeah,
will say I think I'm hearing Monkey's point that on a first watch, it feels like it feels like they may have been a little overly ambitious with the structure of which they're telling the Carol Danvers story. It feels like and not just the Carol, the whole kind of the pache memory sort of thing. Which of course, if anyone even in the trailers, you kind of know that we're kind of going we're kind of playing narratively with the Captain Marvel backstory, which is interesting. But I feel that some key point shuffled. Like these make for really cool shots, but still, what are we learning from them, though?
All right, I'm gonna hit the nail right on the head here.
Okay.
This is the MCU's Man of Steel.
I maybe.
How do you mean exactly?
Structurally speaking, because
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's any better or worse than that, because frankly, I think saying it's better or worse is comparing apples and oranges when it comes to MCU and the DCEU Snyderverse.
Yeah, I will say, like, just, and again, both of these are movies I've only seen once, like, just when they come out in theaters. I won't lie that, like, leaving the theater, I was a little more enthusiastic with Wonder Woman than this, but again, I'm not saying this is a bad one either. Just saying that's the experiences I've had. But go on, you were saying?
Okay, I was a little bit more enthusiastic about this going out of it than Wonder Woman, just because I feel like this has a better third act.
Okay, yeah. I could go with that. I could.
I do think that the backstory for Captain Marvel and the twistiness of it all, honestly, I think it's really interesting, and we'll get into that with the spoiler cast. But the way it's told is just misguided. Like it's Nolan light, Dragon. It's Nolan light.
Yeah, it's kind of Memento light in a way. It's
yeah.
Now, let me speaking of this and the memory things. I think Donovan concurs with a lot of this here. Donovan says, "Respectable risk, but I would say better. But nothing is perfect in reality in regards to the memory." I appreciated that they went for an action thriller mystery, but it could have been done better with the whole memory angle, and I can agree to an extent. But with this is in regards to the Man of Steel point you made, Tiki. I can agree to an extent, but with Man of Steel, it had a lot more symbolism. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make it out here. It had a lot more symbolism to complement the scene, to give it more meaning. So so basically, Man of Steel, you had I think he's saying with Man of Steel, it had a little bit more of like kind of the symbolism, kind of like kind of sang a little bit more in the movie. If you guys what I mean, I think that's what he's getting at.
No, honestly, between the two, Man of Steel is probably the better movie by I don't know. Like I'm on the side that kind of likes Man of Steel more than others, but
in any case, this one did not have a scene where they battled in a Denny's.
But it did have a scene where a blockbuster was involved, and then also
yeah, but it didn't happen inside the blockbuster.
That's true.
I don't know. We kind of explored the landscape a little bit.
No, we explored the landscape, but all the battling happened outside.
Fair enough.
All right. I just want to spotlight one thing, and this is by far the most impressive part of the movie.
Okay.
If this movie doesn't get nominated for Best Visual Effects, shame. The words of Fozzie Bear, shame. Okay, honestly, Sam Jackson's de-aging might be one of the most impressive visual effects I've ever seen in any
Oh, so
movie.
he was de-aged?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Monkey,
I'm probably easier to
right
fool
there
when it
proves
comes
my
to
point.
de-aging,
That
so.
proves my point right there.
Well,
You
okay, for full disclosure, I'm probably easier to fool with de-aging.
But you weren't even sure. You weren't even sure. And that's the thing. After like 5 minutes, it just goes away. And it's so seamless.
Mhm.
I love visual effects like that, man. I love visual effects that just work to complement the story and just Dragon, what do you think?
Well, I mean, look, they've been perfecting perfection with these Lola effects. You know, again, they started these. Again, they've been starting with the first Avenger, and then of course you get to Ant-Man and the Wasp was the first thing that really kind of did the de-aging thing. Basically, it keeps getting better and better each time. And in a post Thanos MCU, anything is possible, and I think is kind of maintaining kind of the youthful look for a whole
I like that way of
performance.
describing it, yeah.
Yeah, and we think again like Sam, Sam Jackson and Clark Gregg again.
Yeah,
They
I
were
knew
good.
going in Clark Gregg was de-aged, but
No, Clark. Here's the thing. It was very. It was. I imagine it's more slightly on Clark Gregg's side of things. Basically, they probably gave him a little bit more hair, possibly most likely a hairpiece, just to kind of sell that a little bit more. But Clark Gregg is a young looking guy. He's a guy that doesn't really change over the years. So it's kind of the point being to kind of maintain that and not lose Nick Fury in the shuffle. Because again, like usually we save these things
what
for
if
like
this movie ended with a
well,
de-aged Stan Lee saying hope?
huh?
I love the
That
silence
would
that
have been
followed
really
that.
weird.
I'm just being
I
silly.
would not.
I'm just being silly.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
mean, of course, if you want to really let's not. I don't want to entertain that the whole,
Okay, we'll move on.
Anyway, but yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, to maintain that performance and again not lose Nick Fury in the shuffle. Nick Fury has a really big role in this movie, and again, it's
Yeah.
commented by you not like have like kind of the big thing that something like Rogue One had, where it's like you have kind of a recreation or kind of a big kind of digital effect on somebody that's going to be really apparent or really kind of distracting. Which again, I don't necessarily feel is the case completely with Rogue One. But that's the major complaint. Like you have these digital kind of effects on a performance where you have it for a very brief time. And in the Marvel movies, you've had it for just a sequence, or usually at the start of the. Oddly enough, it's always at the start of the movie when you really think about it. Act One with First Avenger. Then of course, we get into the beginning of Ant-Man, the beginning. They just want to get it out of the way. Civil War with Tony Stark. They just really want to get it out. Yep. We gotta wow him with the Lola. Well, let's go with the Lola drawer. Who we got
So in
next?
Endgame, are they gonna have a de-aged Thanos?
They could. They could. You never. Well, hey, look. If you want to entertain that seriously, I mean,
What would DH Thanos look like? I'm curious.
The origin of Thanos, it does like there's a story in the birth
Less
of
wrinkles,
Thanos.
I guess.
Not exactly. No. It depends. I tell you, the story of Thanos, it ain't a pretty one. And again, you get to see kind of young Thanos growing up. Traditionally, when you kind of get into the origin of Thanos, it's like a big part of like his childhood on growing up on the planet. So you never say never.
You just said it twice.
Right.
Anyway, let's see. Of course, without giving anything away, I do think, like I said, I think all the connective tissue between all the MCU stuff, I think this movie is very ambitious when it comes to that as well. And I think it's way less messy than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like to me, all the MCU stuff kind of flows together very well, and it kind of like it's interesting because I feel like this is honestly, this feels like a comic book in the same way that Thor Ragnarok feels like a comic book. It's just that this doesn't feel like as epic and interesting of a comic book. Like this feels like the type of comic book that Linkara might review in some respects because it's just got like all this craziness and all this yeah. What do you guys think of the scrolls without giving anything away about
I love the scrolls so honestly if I had like one like my big kind of comic book like pull of like just like oh yeah seeing it realize it's so cool I love seeing the scrolls they've been trying to get Skrulls in the MCU since the first Avengers movie, and since Avengers way back when. And of course, they couldn't. They had to get the Chitauri instead of the Skrulls, but now we finally got them, and they look great.
Yeah, I do like what they ended up doing with those characters. Yeah, I mean, there's still a bit I'm sort of like, so wait, why did they do some of the things they do in the movie, like early in the first act? But yeah, I like what ended up being done with them, with those characters.
Donovan concurs. Skrulls were amazing. Yes.
Yeah, I really like that. That it's essentially a whole race of people who are not even necessarily the villain, but more kind of like this morally ambiguous group. It's a really interesting way to tell a story.
Let's just say it reflects the complexities that. Let me put it this way. Without I don't want to get too into it. But let's just say I want to say as far back as the Stan Lee days, because I believe both of these races were introduced in the Fantastic Four, the Kree and the Skrulls. Of course, the whole intergalactic space element of the Fantastic Four. That's how they're introduced. And the cool thing is that again wasn't complex as I'm sure as it probably was in the later years, but even in its first introduction, to what I can recall, it was it wasn't a black and white issue. The Kree and the Skrull War, which of course this movie does reflect in a really interesting way. It's a complicated thing. It's a war, for pity's sake. It's not just going to be like, you just have you're a good guy shooting at your bad guys. And of course, if we learn anything from again, we've seen the Kree all over the MCU on the small screen as well as the big screen with Guardians. So again, we've kind of gotten to know this world a little bit, and we get to kind of broaden that and kind of see kind of the opposite end of things with the Skrulls. And again, I love that it wasn't we weren't just waiting for Skrulls for. Not everyone was waiting for Skrulls, I'm sure, but I mean, Skrulls like a cool thing, and you always have the ultimate. They could be among us. They can shapeshift. They can be anywhere. And I think they realized not just the visuals as well as kind of the inherent story content that these guys there's a humanity to these characters, and I think we explore that in a really interesting way. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a few things in the comments here if you guys want me to read some.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, we have Alex P. And Alex P. This might be, I don't know, might be a smidgen controversial. Let's just read and see where it goes. Alex P. 80 years of developing Marvel comic book characters, 50 Marvel movies over the past 20 years. I think he's just kind of incorporating everything into that, maybe a little broader, like like Fantastic Four and such. I think. Yet and again, this is where the controversial part might come in here. Yet this overpowered Mary Sue, who comes out of nowhere, is given the title of the strongest character in the MCU. And of course, this is a point that has been kind of a sticking point in the marketing and everything, and people are just kind of worrying about where Endgame's going to end up. Alex P continues, wouldn't be surprised if she beats Thanos purely out of political correctness. So it is an interesting topic, gentlemen. So the point is, Cat Marvel, she kind of bursts on the scene. We've been told at the end of Endgame, Cat Marvel is going to come to save the day, along with of course, Ant-Man. Is all that kind of facilitated in the last two movies. And the point is, like, this character just kind of comes out of nowhere. We see her movie. Do you guys think this is enough to justify her? Or do you think it's like, okay, we need to set her up purely for Endgame? Do you think she's justified herself at this point, or do you think she's just we're just kind of randomly important? We're just kind of stuck with it. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna give it an asterisk where it's like I'm not overwhelmed or like thrilled by it or anything. I'm not like jumping up and down to see Captain Marvel in Endgame. But
basically, you can buy it, but you're not 100% sold.
Yeah, right. Like it's like I do buy I buy the relationship with Fury. I buy the whole how she fits into the timeline.
Mhm.
And I buy her power set, and I think her power set is cool, and I think there's a good explanation behind it.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think she's a Mary Sue by any means. I mean, I'm sorry. I just there's
Agreed.
Yeah, like I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff that happens with her character, and she goes through a lot, and she goes through like multiple dimensions of experiences, and so I don't know but I do think that if she just outright defeats Thanos by herself, then that would be a mistake. I'll go that far. I'll say that.
I kind of doubt that's what'll happen.
I do too. I do too. But if it does happen,
For the record, I'm abstaining from answering this question, but just assume I'm the same as what Tiki's saying.
Right.
All right. Fair enough.
And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to be really non-spoilery and cryptic about this, because again, if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about, but let me put it this way. If, I think a certain reveal about Captain Marvel in this movie, specifically about her power and such, I think if you know how Infinity Gauntlet goes, I think it really kind of justifies her being even more so. I mean, objectively, her being in the story, and they kind of did something with her. It's kind of clever in retrospect. It kind of dawned on me, like coming out of the movie, it's like, oh yeah, that is really clever if that's what they're doing. And I think
it's the thing you would only really pick up on if you know how the Infinity Comics story goes.
If you've read that book, I think you can kind of put it together. But again, I don't want to spoil it because it might be kind of a big thing. I mean, that thing, because I don't want to, if I say this, if I share this name, then people would be able to connect the dots like that, and they might be peeved if it actually happens like that in Endgame. But again, I'll wait for the spoiler cast to reveal that,
all right.
that sort of thing. Anyway,
guys, I'm going to straight up tell you my favorite moment in the whole movie.
All right.
It's down. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm going to say where it happens, all right?
Okay.
Okay. The very, very, very beginning.
Okay, now do you mean the very beginning, or you just mean the beginning?
Yes, I mean the very beginning.
I gotta tell you, there were feels. There were a lot of
I
feels.
did that, like, without giving away what it is. Like,
are you talking the first image, or are we talking, like, say, logo?
I'm thinking
logo.
Yeah.
Logo.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking too. We're on the same page, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
I thought just like the crowd for this movie was like kind of hit or miss, like in terms of like reacting to the jokes and such. And they weren't really that into the actual movie. But I gotta tell you, when that logo happened, that was one of the maybe one of the top 10 in theater experiences I've ever had.
I was like, there was like a step away from a standing ovation in my theater.
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of different note. Something I just remember, just kind of throwing it out there. There's this kind of pivotal moment late in the film, like somewhere in the third act, that I gotta say reminded me of Spider-Verse. Like I won't say what it is, but it kind of reminded me of a sort of arc line from Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say, a certain trait of Spider-Man in that movie.
Right.
Sorry,
I don't want to kind of being a little dodgy on spoilers here, so.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, any other major talking points we need to go over? Because that logo really was a highlight for me that I was kind of saving in my back pocket for this.
Let me think. Okay, we kind of teased up the powers a little bit. Again, Brie Larson, again, she delivered.
I mean, considering where, like, say, a certain character from another MCU movie where that character is left off, are we going to see any more Captain Marvel movies that take place between this one and Endgame?
I think that's a good question, because there is approximately
I mean, hell, actually, let me reword that, between this movie and the movie that this other character is from.
I think, well, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but bear in mind, I think this is going to be also dependent on the Black Widow movie, because, I think it's going to...
Are we getting a Black Widow movie?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it keeps getting talked about, and it makes you think it's happening, but for some reason, they're not like officially giving a date or anything in the... I heard it was official, but I don't believe it until I'm seeing it's going to be coming out next year. Until I hear that, I'm not really going to buy it. I'm sure it's a foregone conclusion. They're going to do it. It's probably going to be in, I guess.
My theory is that it's going to be on Disney Plus.
I mean, they could do that, but bear in mind they're doing a lot of other shows, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. But honestly, I think
No, I'm
if they're
not
gonna,
saying do a Black Widow show. I'm saying do a Black Widow movie on Disney Plus.
oh well, yeah, sure, that is the way to go too. But let's just say if they don't do it on Disney Plus, I think if it's gonna be a movie, it'll probably be 2021. And like if they do a lineup of three, next year, I believe again, don't quote me on the specificity of this. I want to say next year what Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because now I heard they're back in working order on that, but it's kind of slow going. Okay,
No
and then right, and then after that, then the following year, be my guess, we probably kick things off Black Widow. That's my predictions on like how the announcements the movies are going to go.
Did you say be my guest?
I'm sorry.
Did you say be my guest? Because now I'm picturing like the enchanted objects from Beauty and the Beast as like a Marvel movie focused on them. The animated versions, of course.
Yeah. Anyway, so my point is, Black Widow, of course, there's a lot of talk of like this Black Widow movie, however it's going to be released, if it ever is made. There's a lot of talk of like if the premise is probably going to be very straightforward, like it's going to be her dealing with her experiences in the Red Room, which we've had teased in Age of Ultron. Of course, we've seen kind of seated in Agent Carter. So, of course, the Red Room and the whole like kind of Black Widow kind of training program. That's probably what she's going to be going up against. Probably going to be a lot better than Red Sparrow, from what I hear. Regardless, what?
That's a stupid pun.
Right. Point being, so if they do that again, they could set that any time they wanted to. And I always just imagine, well, why can't we set in between Marvel movies? Why does it always have to be after after Endgame, after the kind of the big changes to this? Well, again, I'm sure I wouldn't hurt it, but again, I think if they get more ambitious with setting things in a certain time period, like they do with Captain Marvel, I wouldn't be for the poor. That wouldn't be a bad idea. And if they had Captain Marvel filling in that 25-year gap between between Endgame and between the end of this first Captain Marvel movie, there's any number of adventures that could happen within that that time frame. I'm sure there's story potential there. The only thing I can imagine is that they might fear a comparison with Wonder Woman, which is kind of jumping through decades and such. So maybe
you know what? It's a good idea, and it's not like Wonder Woman was even the first superhero franchise to do that. That would be X-Men.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a good point. I think this movie, they're kind of combating.
I want to see a Captain Marvel and Yondu team up movie.
That'd be cool. I'm just not sure. I'm just trying to think the feasibility because they were like kind of ravaging pirates. I'm just trying to think how she would meet them. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's not possible. It could be. Honestly, what would be neat is like if she ran into the first iteration of the Guardians, with Yondu and the gang.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And that's what I'm talking about. Either that or like some variation on that, like
we got so DH Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
Oh my God! Yes, please.
It's all is possible. There's these rolling in the moolah right now.
Right.
Oh, tell me you wouldn't see a movie with you even though they just advertised this alone, young Sylvester Stallone as in a Marvel movie. Come on,
young Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Working
that's literally what they put on the poster is just young Sylvester Stallone.
Young Sylvester, young Sly.
Find a way to work in the Sylvester Stallone clones from Spy Kids 3D, and I am so
just think of the press right now. Marvel makes a Sly move.
Oh God. All right.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. Of course, we're going to go into more detail about the structure and the characters and how it ties into Endgame and everything with the spoiler cast. Anything else that we're missing that would be a good talking point for this?
Just the period settings, bro. Let's talk about the period setting while we can. I mean, you don't think that's much?
I think it's good. I think the best gags had to do with the slow internet.
That is hilarious. There we go. This all the '90s stuff got a big laugh and reactions. A lot of joy in my theaters when all the '90s stuff.
I think the '90s stuff doesn't overpower the movie. Like it's it's the setting and you get some gags out of it, but it's not like, it's 90s. Look, everyone, it's the 90s. It's not like overbearing.
Yeah.
I love it's so specific.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Specifically, it's 1995 from what I heard. I was
Yeah.
on the edge of my when I heard that, I was like, so it's 95. Oh boy,
Oh
if they have
God.
a Toy
Toy
lose in that
Story.
theater. If they do, they do. Now, as far as I can tell, that there's a let me put it to you this way, right? I won't say what precisely here, but there's one thing that could be considered a Toy Story reference, but I don't think there's any direct Toy Story references in this movie.
If it's 1995, then maybe we could have, Robin Williams running around after he got freed from Jumanji.
Yeah.
I'm just being silly,
Yeah.
making references.
All right. Also, Goose.
Yeah, Goose.
Yeah.
Without getting into any spoilers, definitely a big highlight of the film. Definitely is probably going to be a big selling point in giving the film its identity down in the long run.
Yeah.
With the exception of one moment, yes.
And that's it, guys. I think that's all the talking points. I really do.
All right.
Cats are cute.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so my final thoughts. I think I'm kind of blessed with low expectations on this one, guys. Because I totally acknowledge it's not a perfect movie, but I give it credit for trying. I really do. The Nolan factor is kind of a swing and miss, but at the very least, it gives it the MCU has never attempted to do a movie with this kind of structure before. So I feel like as a first attempt, it's interesting. And I don't know, it's I definitely want to see it again. And that's honestly something I did not think I was going to say walking out of it is I want to see this again. But I do want to see this again because of the structure, because it is layered. And now that I know what the story is and I know what to
the rewatch bonus.
Yeah, exactly. So I am way more high. I'm not saying it's top 10 MCU or anything, but I'm way more high on this than I thought I would be.
Nice.
All right,
yeah.
Mark, thoughts?
It's nice. I don't think it's necessarily one of the ones I'll be returning to a lot with the MCU, but you could also say that for a lot of MCU movies. You know me, my niche. But yeah, it's a nice one.
All right. Dragon?
It's not quite the movie I had pictured in my head, but it's I gotta tell you, because in premise alone, just when they reveal we have these characters in it, we have we're in the 90s setting. Of course, you remember the MCU, all the big all the huge prolific moments of the MCU apparently happened in the early 90s.
In the 90s.
Yep. And that's the thing. It was a surprise, and it's a good movie. It's just I don't know, just a few moments you kind of rubbed me the wrong way while I was watching it. But on the whole, there's really nitpicks. My issues are very minor, and this maybe structurally with the whole memory thing. Maybe it's a little clunky then, but again, it's not really anything that detracts from the overall movie. It's just it's a little they approach it from a different angle. I can respect. The movie could have gone a whole lot worse. There are a lot of people casting aspersions on this movie, and I got to tell you, came out pretty darn good. I'll give it that. Came out. It could have tanked. It could have been. This movie could have gone south or stirred up a lot of stuff, and it didn't, because I think people are going to come to see that. This movie, it's pretty straightforward, but you know what? It's I knew nothing. I know very little about Captain Marvel.
I think it's a slightly worse movie than Doctor Strange, and all things considered, it's in the same ballpark as a Doctor Strange. And all things considered, I think that's pretty darn good, considering all the press that this movie's had following it.
Sure. I mean, again, I knew a little about Carol Danvers. Because she was Miss Marvel before she became Captain Marvel. I knew about her through that context. Of course, she kind of exploded in popularity, hence the whole Captain Marvel of it all. And I got to tell you, I think again, I like. I guess in closing, I like Captain Marvel as a role model. We kind of see that showcase in the movie, and I think that's the movie doing its job. I think that's kind of the niche that it wants to be in. That's kind of it reaching its potential, and like you know what? Yeah, it was it's a real. There are a lot of feel good moments in this movie, and there's a lot of fun to be had. It's an adventure. It's kind of the MCU having a little '90s adventure, and it's cool, and it kind of again kind of sets some stuff up, and of course there's some correlation to Endgame. It's a fun adventure in the MCU, and what more could you ask for? So, Captain Marvel was a fun experience. Not the best, but it was a fun one.
All right, folks, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, Spoilercast Sunday. Spoilercast Sunday. All right. Way back in the 90s, I was in that very famous MCU.
90s are all that. Oh, yeah.
And I'm Captain M. Yes, I am Captain M. Don't act like you don't know. That's all I